All right, so the Bears lose week 2 to the Houston Texans. Final score 19-13. That was bad. That was a bad game. Obviously, coming in, every fan knew that this is not going to necessarily be a game that they should win. Because on paper, I mean, top to bottom, that roster in Houston is better than the Bears right now. And they are a year more polished with a quarterback that's young. That said, to see how completely inept that offensive line looked for the Bears, that would be the number one takeaway from the game, and I don't think anybody could argue that. Look, Nate Davis doesn't deserve a starting spot right now. Coleman Shelton was a replacement level player, and the other three guys on the offensive line, Tevin Jenkins, Darnell Wright, and then obviously Braxton Jones, those three guys are supposed to be your cornerstones on your line right now. Specifically, you went out and took Darnell Wright as a first rounder a couple years ago. He just looked completely overmatched by a very talented pass rush, as I noted in the preview of the game. It's a very talented pass rush. Braxton Jones, there were always question marks about him coming in this year, but still, I had faith in him. He just looked overmatched as well. Tevin Jenkins, that entire interior of that offensive line just doesn't look up to par. But there are two main problems on that offensive line that are causing the bulk of the issue. But that offensive line as a whole is probably the main reason that this team did not win a game. Look, Caleb didn't play particularly well under pressure. Definitely had some missed throws. There were a couple underthrown balls, as were the case in week 1. He needed to make some plays at pivotal times that he didn't. At the end of the day, there were also a lot of issues with the offensive line play causing Caleb to be under pressure. 36 out of 37 pass attempts. I'll say that again, 36 out of 37 pass attempts. That does not happen in the NFL. It's unheard of. So to be that under siege gave Caleb no time to do anything. On top of that, Rome missed a ball in the end zone. I don't care who you are, rookie wide receiver or not, a top 10 pick should not miss a ball that was floated in a fairly decent spot for him to catch it. He didn't come down with it. Whatever it is, contact, lapse of concentration, doesn't really matter. He did not come down with the ball, and that caused an issue. He also had a play at the end of the game where he very clearly, there was a miscommunication. I'm going on the back that I think it was Caleb expecting Rome to come back to the ball, where Rome just kept running. It looked like he was kind of on somewhat of a go route or a fade route of some kind. Miscue there. But all of this is set up because Caleb did not have any time. If you look and you time it based on the film, it's sometimes less than 2.5 seconds that he has in the pocket to think, to process. That's not going to work. Through 2 weeks, we've seen one thing to be true. Every team that will play the Bears from here on out will likely do the same thing, and that's blitz heavily. Why? Because it works. Every time he was under pressure, every time the defense of Houston blitzed, they resulted in a pressure, a hurry, a knockdown, or a sack. But when they didn't blitz, Caleb was 20 of 25 for over 120 yards passing. Sure, that's not lighting the world on fire with how far he's throwing the ball and how many yards he's getting, but he was accurate and he was moving the football. So the offensive line needs a whole working, and they also had a hand in the running game not being effective. Now, I'm also going to put a lot of the blame on DeAndre Swift here. Through 2 weeks, 48 yards on 24 carries. When are we going to see that get any better? Defensively, they did not look great against Nico Collins in particular. As I said, big play potential. That guy gets going. If Stephon Diggs gets going, Joe Mixon, they were able to kind of solve, but it just took one of them to really get the ball rolling with CJ Stroud. But the defense answered in the second half, played a really, really good second half, and kept that football team in the game. Same thing as week 1, and I have a feeling we're going to say that a few more times this year. So defense was solid. Offense stunk. Offensive line needs to be completely redone. There are pieces on that line that I like, that I think have a future, but they've played subpar through 2 weeks of this season. Give Caleb some time. I'm not in panic mode by any means, but what I will tell you is we're going to see Caleb Williams on the injured list a lot sooner than we would like to see or ever see, given this offensive line and the pressures that they're giving up through 2 weeks. That's going to happen at some point. Confidence and bad habits will start to go awry. You're going to see bad habits being picked up by Caleb if he has no time in the pocket to think, poor mechanics, poor decision making, and obviously his confidence as a result is just not going to be there. And that is one thing that they cannot have with this. With all the work that the Bears did this offseason to get this team to a point with Caleb to contend and compete, they need to prioritize that offensive line. Go out. You have draft capital. And as of right now, it looks like you're going to have a 4th round pick coming from the Steelers as opposed to the initial 6th round pick because Justin's been playing. Has he been lighting the world on fire? No. But it could turn into a 4th round pick. You package that 4th with maybe that Carolina 2nd because they just benched Bryce Young and look absolutely awful. I don't think they'll win a game all year. You might get yourself a legit offensive lineman. I don't know if it's a center, I don't know if it's guard, but you got to fix something. And it's got to happen soon because although the Bears are only 1-1, and we don't need to panic fully, the writing is on the wall that if you don't fix it, issues will happen down the line. Let me know your thoughts on the game down below. Like if you enjoyed the video, comment your thoughts, subscribe for more content. We'll talk to you soon.